guys, so I thought I would share a little story about some of these vintage fabric strips that I'll be putting into my Etsy shop. And yeah, usually little odds and pods like this I'll just pop into my shop without doing a video, but it's not often that I find vintage stuff that I actually know the story behind it, like who it was from and what it was for. So these fabric strips, I've got one that's wider and one that's a bit more narrow. They're probably, I wouldn't say they're a meter. Sorry, I haven't measured them yet. I should have measured them first. But I'll put all the measurements in the Etsy descriptions. But what these were, oh, actually, I think they'd be about under a meter, maybe 90 centimeters. This one is probably 11, 12 centimeters wide. The ones that are a bit narrower are the same length, maybe 90 centimeters, and they're probably 10 centimeters wide. But I'll put all the proper measurements in centimeters and inches in the Etsy listing. Anyway, what these were from, my husband and I often, we just go on little day or overnight trips to little country towns because I'm a country girl at heart and he's a city boy. But we went to one little place a couple of years ago and they had like a country festival or market style sort of thing going on. And there was one little old lady that had a table that was just full of vintage laces and fabrics and doilies and stuff. And as you can imagine, I'm a bit of a lace fabric doily hoarder. Amongst other things, music papers, old papers. Oh my gosh, if it's old, I love it. But she had a lot of beautiful laces. Some were quite dear because a lot of them, she said, belonged to her grandmother and they had been passed down over the years. So they weren't even vintage, they were antique. But she did have a lot of just vintage linens because she said she used to work at a fabric company years ago, and I think she said Hode, and I don't know if she means Hode as in H-O-A-D, which is a fabric company that still exists in Australia, probably one of the last few that are standing that haven't been shipped offshore. But so I'm not sure if she means there, but she said back in her day, and I'm not sure I'm not sure what her day was, I didn't want to ask, but she said back in her day, the little fabric strips, they were considered like rubbish, and they would, which is strange because I know my grandmother used to say back in her day they saved every little piece of scrap to use. But anyway, she said they were pretty much tossed in this great big pile in the corner, and the employees were allowed to just help themselves and take it home. And because she was a seamstress, she would often take a lot of pieces for quilting. And she said these were some offcuts. The strips were much longer. And she said she would use these strips to make rail quilts. And I had never heard of rail quilts before. I did actually Google it, and I can't find anything on rail quilting. So I don't know if it's terminology that has gone by the wayside or it's just something that she called it or what. But anyway, what she said, it was just you would make a quilt, but you would use big long strips of fabric instead of your usual quilt by, cutting quilt blocks or squares. So she said she would make rail quilts, and she would do some hand embroidering on them and stuff like that. But she said each quilt would take her about 3 to 4 weeks to make. And this fabric was leftovers from one of her rail quilts. And that's why it's so short. So it was just nice to actually know what this was used for, where it came from, and I don't know, I love finding vintage papers and fabrics and that have a story behind them. And I think that's why a lot of my grandmother's fabrics that I have, they're so special, not just because they were from my grandmother, but because like a lot of the fabric I have, I recognize in dresses and stuff that she made from when I was young. So, you know, there's a lot of fabric, like there's this blue shimmery fabric that JD really loves, and I don't have a lot left. I do have a piece for her that I've been meaning to send her for a past year or something, but and she really loves that. And like I remember a blouse and skirt top that my grandmother made from that very fabric. So yeah, a lot of the fabrics, I just love knowing the story behind vintage items that you find, but that's something that rarely happens, because unless you buy it from the actual person that is selling it, or you know, sometimes it could be a daughter that has inherited stuff from her mum or grandmother that is selling it and may know a bit of a story. But it's just so nice. I can just imagine a quilt with this fabric, and I'm not sure what she would have teamed it up with. Maybe something with some of the colours that are in the fabric. She also called this a Victoria stripe. I don't know. You textile people out there might know, or you seamstresses, but I'm assuming Victorian style stripe. But anyway, the edges are raw. They look like they've just been ripped, not cut. But I thought these would make really beautiful pockets in journals. So, because it's quite thick, it actually reminds me of I don't know, like material that you would use on drapes and stuff, like really thick material. So it's quite thick, and it does have that old fabric smell. It doesn't smell bad, but if you're a fabric lover like me, you know, old fabric that has been locked away in a cupboard for years and years has a particular old fabric smell. And they all smell the same. So yeah, it does have old fabric smell. Not too bad unless you put it right up to your nose. Like I can't smell it from here. But I didn't want to wash it because I know a lot of the old fabrics, they were actually screen printed as well. I don't think this was, by the look of it. My dad was actually a printer, a screen printer. I don't think this particular one was screen printed, but I don't want to take the risk because I don't want to ruin it. I feel like the red may run. I'm not sure, but I mean, I don't think it would. If she had intended it for a quilt, it would have to be washed sometime. So I think you'd be safe washing it, but I don't want to wash it in case I ruin it. Plus, I feel like I'm going to fray it too much if I wash it. I'd say maybe it would be okay to soak, maybe, in some really lukewarm water. But anyway, it's really beautiful. I thought it would make really gorgeous pockets or little fabric envelopes was what I thought, because they're the perfect width. I thought little fabric envelopes would look really gorgeous. Just stitch them down the side. But yeah, I've held on to it and held on to it because I really love it. It's so beautiful, but I never use florals and roses and stuff like that in my journals. I don't know. I love old fabric with florals, but I just never use it unless it's on a journal cover. So anyway, you know, I'm redesigning my craft room at the moment. Well, not redesigning, reorganizing. So I'm trying to get rid of a few things, like, you know, all the old books that the old hardcover vintage children's readers. Oh, there's some in there that is really like tugging at my heart. I'm there's the teddy bear book. I did a flip through in a live video. I'll put the link down below if you missed it. And in the video comments, I've got the time of each book. So if you want to look at one book, you can just go straight to that and not watch my whole 1 hour rambling. Yeah, so I think, yeah, some of these things are really hard for me to get rid of because they're so gorgeous. But anyway, there's one teddy bear book and farm babies that I put in my shop that kind of, the teddy bear one especially, it's 1954, it's tugging at my heart. It's really gorgeous, and yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned if it didn't sell, because I kind of don't want to let go of it. But I have so many books I need to get rid of. Same with fabric. So I will be putting some stuff in my shop over the next few weeks. I won't do a video on all of it, or maybe I'll just do one video for a whole bunch of items at the end of the week or something. But this one I wanted to do a video because it's very rare to know where it came from and what it was for. Like, why are these 90 centimeter strips of fabric? Anyway, so I'll put these into my Etsy shop today. I've only got 5 packs. I was thinking I'm just going to put 1 wide and 1 narrow strip in a pack. That'll give you almost 2 meters of fabric. You can use it as trims even. Yeah, I'll just put 1 wide, 1 narrow, because I don't want to put it all in one pack, because then only one person gets to have a piece. Whereas if I split it into 5 packs, then at least 5 people can get a little piece of it. She did say it was old. I don't know how old though. She just always said back in her day. So I don't know what her day was. But anyway, I'll also be back later with a video. Not straight away. I just need to pack a few orders and do a few things this morning. But later today, I'll also be back with a live video. I've had heaps of requests on how to collage. Yeah, I don't know that I can teach you how to, but I can show you how I do it, because everyone has their own different style, and it also depends on the papers you use and how you know, textured and layered you want them to be. I mean, these ones are very basic. I only use scrap papers out of my scrap box. I didn't use fabric. I think I used a few bits of fabric on 1 or 2 of the butterfly ones that I made, but these are just scrap papers. But you can see I mostly use coffee dyed paper, and I coffee dye any sort of paper. So it could be the style, it could be not so much you don't know how to collage, which is a lot of people are saying they struggle with collage and they don't know how. I don't think it's you don't know how. Maybe it's just the papers you're using. Sometimes, depending on the papers you use, they give very different results. So these were just mostly scraps, coffee dyed scraps out of my scrap box. And they're, for the most part, single layers with some overlap. So they're not very hard. But what I'll do a video today. I have done one. Did I say that already? I have already done a butterfly one. I'll put the link down below if you missed that. But I'll do another video, but I'm going to do it as a live video. That way, for those few that were struggling, you can always ask questions and I can answer straight away. But I know you may not catch the live anyway, but you can always post a comment in the comments box after the video has been loaded, and I'll always answer any questions. Anyway, that's it. Oh, actually, if anyone is interested, when I was saying it may be the style of papers that you use and not your actual technique, if anyone is interested, I can make up some collage paper packs with the types of papers that I will usually use. Now, these were scraps out of my scrap box. You know, this was actually a bit of a paper doily that came off when I was coffee dyeing. Map papers, sewing papers, old diary, music papers, you know, that sewing pattern tissue. This was actually off a bit of a Christmas napkin. Train timetable, atlas pages, atlas index pages, that sort of thing. But if it helps, I'm happy to make up some paper packs, not using scraps from my scrap box, but using full pages of the types of papers I would ordinarily use, if that helps. But yeah, if you're interested, put a note in the comments box below. I don't want to go making up a whole bunch of collage paper packs and then they just sit in my shop. So if there's some interest for them, I'm happy to make some up. Just put a note in the comments box, or email me or message me through Etsy. And maybe, yeah, it would help if you had the same style of papers, because if that's the look you're going for, then maybe, yeah, just the same style of papers might help. I'm not sure, but I really do just grab pieces of paper and glue them down. I don't think there's any, there's no, you know, difficult method, but yeah. So I think everyone can collage, but maybe it's the style of papers you're using. Plus, we're all our own worst critics anyway, so we always like someone's work better. Anyway, so I'll put these in my Etsy shop shortly, sometime after this video, and I'll be back later with a live collage video. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.